Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025 edition of Douglas Now Live. I am Robert Preston Jr., and we are live from our Douglas Now studios on West Walker Street here in Douglas. It is 2 days before Christmas. I should have worn something a little more Christmassy. I didn't think about that. I was in a little bit of a rush to leave the house this morning, and I grabbed a collared shirt and took off and didn't give a lot of thought to the fact that it is 2 days before Christmas. It certainly doesn't seem like it should be right here at Christmas, and certainly with the weather that we're having, it's not wintry or Christmassy, but such is the case in South Georgia. Christmas Day is, of course, Thursday. That is normally a day when we gather here for Douglas Now Live. We will not be doing a show on Thursday. We will probably do one on Friday, depending upon what happens between now and between now and Friday. But I am planning tentatively to be here at some point on Friday, hopefully Friday morning, unless I get $1 million for Christmas, at which point I'm leaving Coffee County and I will never do another Douglas Now Live again. I will never do anything else here either. I have a list of places. I don't know if y'all do this, but I have a list of locations that I plan on moving to if I should ever fall into a significant sum of money. That has not happened yet. I didn't win the lottery last night. I didn't buy a ticket, so I obviously didn't hit the jackpot, and I don't even know if anybody hit the jackpot or not. I don't know how that went, but more than likely we'll be here on Friday morning. If we're not, it's certainly not because I got $1 million for Christmas. I do not anticipate that happening. A couple of stories I want to go over real quick. As you may have noticed, it's a little bit slow this week. The news cycle always slows down right before major holidays. Happens in around July 4th. It also happens here at Christmas, and it will be slow between Christmas and New Year. So we will be struggling for news as we do each and every year, but we're going to bring you the big stories, and we will be working and covering whatever happens should something major take place. Yesterday, story broke that the police department had identified a suspect when the news first broke. They had not apprehended the suspect. Zion Jaquan Smith was wanted in connection with the December 11th, 2025 shooting here in Douglas. It took place up on North Pearl Avenue, which is actually not terribly far from where we are right now. It's not nearly as far as you might think. But the shooting happened around 5:36 p.m. Douglas Police Department investigated shooting. It happened on the 1100 block of North Pearl. Actually, I believe it happened there in the road at the intersection of North Pearl Avenue and Wilson Street. It was a non-fatal shooting. Individual was taken to Coffee Regional Medical Center via private vehicle and survived his injuries. The police department released this information yesterday, naming Mr. Smith as a suspect, and then shortly after lunch yesterday, the police department updated their press release to say that Mr. Smith had been taken into custody. So a lot of folks were interested in that. Obviously don't want someone who is suspected of committing a violent offense like that running around out on the streets. The police department has apprehended him, charged him with aggravated assault, and he remains in the Coffee County Jail. So good work by the Douglas Police Department on taking care of that for us. Wiregrass Tech, big news for them. I think it's big news. It's, this is one of those stories, you get a press release, and the way these press releases are worded, sometimes you have to read between the lines a little bit to try to figure out exactly what they're talking about and exactly what's going on. And some of this stuff just kind of slides under the radar a little bit. But this seems like a big deal. And it's hard to overstate the importance that our institutions of higher learning, the role that our institutions of higher learning play in Douglas and Coffee County. Wiregrass Georgia Technical College and South Georgia State College. Both have been here for a long time. Of course, South Georgia State College is the oldest college in the university system of Georgia, I believe it is. And they've been here for a very long time. But Wiregrass has also been here for many, many years. And the work that they do, the economic impact that they make, the economic development that they're responsible for, it's hard to overstate the importance and the significance of the role in which they play. So when we see these Wiregrass press releases, we see these South Georgia State College press releases, we sit up, we take notice. And this, again, press releases are worded kind of funny. I used to write press releases, and I used to get in trouble a little bit because I would not write the press releases in the standard, boring press release ease that they get written, because people don't want to read that, right? If you want your story read, you need to write it in such a way that people can understand it and people know what's going on. And when you write press releases, you have to use certain buzzwords and certain terminology and that kind of thing. And sometimes the significance of the story can get lost in all of that stuff. So what Wiregrass Tech has achieved, it has been approved to award high school diplomas through Cognia accredited Career Plus high school diploma program. Now they got that because they have been accredited through the Cognia organization. And the press release really didn't go into a lot of information about this, but that's why I was kind of reading. I said, this really seems like a big deal. And I know a lot of times here at Douglas Now we get in trouble because people say we do not print enough positive news. And I kind of had a discussion with somebody about this last week. Somebody was giving us a little bit of trouble for that. And I said, look, if you go to the Douglas Now website, you take a look at it, of the last 20 stories that we've published, 13 could be considered positive. The problem is a lot of people don't read the positive stories, and because they don't read the positive stories, they don't find their way into people's algorithms. So when they're posted, people don't see them. They don't pay as much attention to them. But we print a lot of positive stories, and we would much rather print positive stories or publish positive stories than negative stories. But what this, according to the press release, what this Cognia accreditation does is, instead of having adult learners come into Wiregrass with the only option of getting a GED, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting a GED, instead of getting a GED through the Cognia program, they can present them with and I say present them, obviously going to have to do the work, but they can earn a high school diploma and an accredited high school diploma instead of getting a GED if they would like. They have that option available to them. It empowers Georgia residents age 18 and older to earn an accredited high school diploma on their own timeline while gaining valuable career training in high demand fields. And it says that Cognia recognizes schools across the globe that meet rigorous standards focused on productive learning environments, equitable resource allocation, and effective leadership. There's that press release ease that we were talking about. To earn Cognia accreditation, a school must submit to internal and external review. Earning accreditation from the Cognia Global Accreditation Commission means that the school meets Cognia performance standards and maintains a commitment to continuous improvement. Schools in good standing can maintain their accreditation for a 6-year term. So, an option for adult learners who may not have a high school diploma to go to Wiregrass and earn a high school diploma through the Cognia program. So instead of getting a GED, if you would like to have a high school diploma, you would be able to do that. I look at it, it didn't get, how many people read? I can tell you how many people read the story. I don't think that's hidden. I think anybody can take a look at it. But 128 people have read the story. And in getting ready for Douglas Now Live today, I clicked on it about 3 times. So about 3 of these are mine in the last 20 or 30 minutes. So really about 125 people have read this story. And it seems like it should be bigger news than it is. It seems like it should be a bigger deal than it is. Any program that we have in our community that gives people an opportunity to better themselves, to create more opportunities for themselves, for their families, to provide a better standard of living for themselves and their families is a really big deal. And this seems to do that. And I think it's worth talking about and worth discussing and worth recognizing. Our picture here got a little bit cut off, but keeping with the theme of good news here at Christmas, and this is another one of those things that's a really big deal. Now, this did get a lot of attention. This is a story that we went straight to Facebook with. We did not post this on the DouglasNow.com website. We're going to do a longer form story on Dominic here. But news broke, I believe it was on Friday, that Dominic Membang, I hope I'm saying his name right, has been accepted to Harvard University. This is not a Harvard University satellite campus. This is not a Harvard University ancillary program or anything like that. This is the real Harvard University. And we may have had Ivy League students in the past from Coffee High School. I don't remember anyone recent. I remember we had a football player a few years ago that went to play at a Patriot League school, which is very close to Ivy League, but was not an Ivy League institution. But I believe it has happened, but it does not happen very often. And this is pretty big news. And if you're familiar with Dominic, all right, we post a lot of a lot of stories that Coffee High School puts out, a lot of the meeting stories, FBLA, FCCLA, those types of programs, the VEX robotic stories. We talked about that, I think, maybe one day last week. We publish these stories. And if you follow them, and again, it's another one of those things where not a lot of people read those stories, but you see high achieving kids in those programs. And Dominic's name has been in a lot of those. So when I say I'm not necessarily surprised that Dominic has been accepted to Harvard, it's because ever since he has been at Coffee High School, he has been a high achieving student. He has been involved in the types of activities that lay the foundation and prepare you not just for college, but prepare you for some of the more rigorous courses of study in the more rigorous institutions that are available. So he has been working his entire, and again, I'm familiar with him from being in high school, but I know if you go through middle school and then elementary school, since the first day of school, since he first walked into a classroom, he's been working for this day. And it doesn't get a lot of recognition. It doesn't make a lot of headlines. And when it does make headlines, a lot of people don't read it. You may not understand the work that he's put in. And there was a reference, I believe, in our announcement to the hard work and dedication that he's done. Those are words that people use and throw around quite a bit. Hard work and dedication. And yes, it does take hard work. It does take dedication. It does take attention to detail. But you don't realize to what degree those qualities come into play. And there's never a day off. There's never an off season. There's never a break. The schoolwork is relentless. The projects are relentless. I'm going to use the word again. The dedication to scholastic excellence is relentless. There's never time off. When you have free time, in quotation marks, you're still doing something related to school, related to community service, building up those community service hours, working on the next project. So there's never any time off, and it's not glamorous work. You see this story here that he's going to Harvard. If you haven't even followed this a little bit, you have no idea the work that it's taken. It's not filling out an application, it's sending it in and having straight A's. There's a lot more that goes into it than that. It's an extremely competitive process, and there's a reason why a lot of people don't get in. All right? It's difficult. It's as hard as anything anybody will ever do. But it's the kind of work that people don't get recognized for. It's the kind of stuff that happens at night, at home, when nobody's around. It's the kind of stuff that happens when you're out of town, when you go on vacation and you've got work to do and everybody's out doing whatever recreational activity or leisure activity you're there to do, and you're stuck in the hotel room working on a project, working on a paper, finishing an application, doing things like that. It's relentless. It's never ending. and there's a lot of pressure that goes into it. And to achieve this is nothing short of phenomenal. Now, I know Dominic's family, his father has helped Zine quite a bit, and not just Zine, but tutors students throughout the school system and can tutor you in anything, science, math, whatever. It's phenomenal. So when you look at his dad and you look at him, you see exactly where it came from. But Zine has done pretty well, and Dominic's dad has been a big part of that. And again, it's not just Zine, it's many other students in the Coffee County school system as well. So when, if you're familiar with the family, and then you're familiar even a little bit with what Dominic has done over the years, you can see that this comes as no surprise. That's not to take away from the honor. That's not to minimize it whatsoever, because of all the stories that we've done, particularly ending the year here, this is one of the most significant that we've got a Coffee High School, a potential Coffee High graduate, a future Coffee High graduate who will be attending Harvard University. It's a pretty good way to end the year. It's a pretty good story to have right here as we close out 2025. Congratulations, Dominic. You deserve every bit of it. Every bit of the recognition you get, you deserve. Let's take a look at our tower cam, as always. Beautiful day here in Douglas. Warming up nicely, a little bit chilly this morning. I think we just saw a bird float by the camera there. Weather's going to be nice for the remainder of the year. We don't have any rain in the forecast. It's going to get cold again in the mornings in the first part of next week. Going to drop into the high 20s, I believe. So we are going to get below freezing. It's going to warm up to the 50s in the afternoons here through the end of this week, through Christmas. We're going to look in mid 50s in the morning and going to get up into the 60s, maybe even the low 70s in the afternoon. So whatever outdoor toys you get for Christmas, you should be able to enjoy them without any problems. You're not going to have to sit inside, not ride your buggy, your four-wheeler. If you get golf clubs, you're going to be able to go to the golf course and play. So again, whatever toys you get, you will be able to use them almost immediately. Going to be a little cloudy on Saturday, but no rain in the forecast. It should be wonderful weather between now and the new year. Those are our top stories here in Douglas and Coffee County on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Get your Christmas shopping done. Get your stocking stuffers taken care of. Get everything out of the way so you can enjoy Christmas Eve. Go to your church service of choice tomorrow. There will be a number of churches having Christmas Eve services. Go and listen to the music and take a few moments to pause and truly reflect upon what the spirit of Christmas is about. Of course, the birth of Jesus and the significance that Jesus' birth and Jesus' life and death and resurrection have, not just in the United States, but throughout the world. And that significance was from the time he was born all the way up until now. I do not think it is an understatement to say that the single most important person who has ever lived on earth is Jesus and the impact that he has had. And this is a time that we slow down and recognize his birth. And I would ask that everyone do that as we head into the holiday. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. Hope you have a great Christmas. Hope Santa Claus brings you everything you've asked for and you get to spend time with friends and family. And again, take a few moments and slow down and enjoy the season, but don't forget the significance of what and who we are celebrating. Y'all have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.